So for the 171 kit, I ended up going with this rolling wrench kit and Kaboodle. You can see it's stamped with all sorts of rolling wrench stamps for showing how good a quality is. It's a rolling wrench part, but it's actually a Taida, whatever you call that. I researched these, and honestly, the kit and Kaboodle was the best price. And I'm pretty confident when I order from Rolling Wrench that I get quality parts. I'm not getting seconds. So with the kit and Kaboodle, you get the 28mm carburetor, the Taida T100 Cam, which is a great cam. It's like a $100 item, and the carburetor is a real Keihin carburetor, Keihin or whatever. So that's a good deal. And all the gaskets and stuff, and you get the big valve head and the cylinder. Is not that big of a savings. So if you don't want to throw down, you know, the 560, almost 600 bucks, you know, if you don't have that kind of money to throw down right away, you can gradually build all this. You know, you can get all these parts, the same exact parts from other vendors individually, and just kind of build as you go, kind of like I ended up doing. When I priced all these parts out individually, I came out with more money than just buying this kit. So I got the kit from him, and he explains how he puts that cylinder, the piston in the cylinder, to make it easy for you. That's a Taida thing. They already do that. He doesn't do that. They're doing that at the factory in Taiwan. All these confusing numbers you see when you look for big bore kits, I think what they mean is 54mm. I think that's your stud spacing on a QM, whatever it's called, 157 QMJ. I'm pretty sure that's your 54 is your stud spacing. The diameter 61mm cylinder, that's the inside here, how big the piston is. And then the 62.7mm, that's your important one. That's how big the outside is. There's a certain measurement where this won't fit in your case, and you have to bore the case. And that happens at, I think, 180 cc and up. And then I've heard it happens on some 172, 171 cc big bore kits. So you want to get the one that has 62.7 so it fits in your case. The numbers on the head fit 54mm. I think that's the stud spacing. Remember, those studs also hold the cam block, or the rocker box, in place. So that has to be the right one. I don't think it's like a 50cc where you have different lengths of valves. I think these are all standard, so we're good on the 150. And then 2823, that's your intake and exhaust. That's theoretically why you can run a 28mm carburetor, because you got a 28mm intake valve. I wanted to find out what just the displacement gave it, so I already put all the other stuff on. That cam alone was 3 miles an hour faster. That carb was, I think, 2 miles an hour faster, and it worked great on the 150. They both work great on the 150, even though they say they're made for the bigger bore kits. The cam and the carb worked super good on just the 150. So that's why I waited to put this on till later. I want to see if I get a speed increase and an acceleration increase on just these items. Pretty impressed with how it is in 150 mode. If it doesn't turn out to be a lot more at the 171, I'm going 66 miles an hour, and it's pretty quick right now. If it doesn't turn out to be faster, it may not be worth doing all this. Just do the carb and the cam. So there's no real instructions whenever you get this GY6 stuff. It comes with this little kit, wrist pin. Looks like both kinds of exhaust valves. That little one right there is for the cam chain tensioner. I guess these are studs for your carb and your exhaust, if you want to use that method. And another cam chain tensioner gasket, so that's good. And it comes with a head gasket, that's your metal one, your shiny metal one. And it comes with 2 of these base gaskets. So I don't know what to do on that, so I'm just going to go with one of them. And they're different thicknesses too. So we got a thin one and we got a thick one. Well, the internet was no help in determining which gasket to use, so screw it, I'll use the thin one. When in doubt, go for the faster one, right? More compression's got to be faster. Getting this plastic shroud off is probably the most difficult part of this job. Get those studs out, so you can slide it off. Had to drop the shock down to make more, or you know, drop the bike down to make more room in between here. And that tensioner gasket did not come off clean. So now it's like being on the Squid Games and getting the umbrella. The original head, you can see it's got the pair valve hole. It goes through to, I don't know, I think it comes out there in the exhaust valve or something. But on the Taida, you can see it's capped off. But they made it so you can drill it through if you want it. So I'm just going to leave this plate that I had on the block-off plate off this one. Just keep it like that. I'm using this for a grounding stud. So I'll have a bolt in there, but this will be a lot cleaner look. The valve springs appear to be the same size. So we didn't get any like epic high RPM heavyweight valve springs. But that's fine. I don't plan on going over 8,000 RPM anyways. So we'll see if this valve thing is a myth. The stock valve is... Yeah, so that was a rip-off. I see no difference in these valves at all. Intake is the same. Exhaust might be a little bit smaller. 23. Nope, 23. Same exact exhaust valve. You got the same intake valve, same exhaust valve. The dome looks about the same. I don't really get it. If anything, this one's beveled out more, I think. So you could probably do this big bore kit without getting the head. Just get the cam, the cylinder, and the piston. The intake on the Taida head is 26 millimeters, 25.8. The stock head has this little gasket on it. It looks like the same. Measure it with the gasket. So with the gasket, we're at 23 millimeters. Now, will the stock head fit on this without that bevel? I mean, this thing is what, 60.5, we'll say 60. If I put it over here on the stock head, I mean, that should work. It's got plenty of room there, plenty of meat for the gasket to seat. That piston's not going any higher than this. And you can see here they've beveled it out some. So if anything, there'll be less compression on this head, more compression on this head. You may end up with a faster bike running the stock head. It may make up for not having that. I don't know if you could drill that out bigger or not, but if you're like into porting heads or something. But yeah, this seems like a little bit of a waste of money. This thing here does. That head is just by itself is $151.95 from NCY store. So 150 bucks. I don't know. Is that worth it to get just that bigger intake? Another difference is you can see on the stock head it has these little, I don't know if they're 6M bolts. It's the one that takes the 10 millimeter wrench though when you put the nuts on. But on the Taida head, it's got these really big studs. So it'll probably take a 12 millimeter bolt or wrench. So these are probably M10 size. That's going to be a pain because if you got a Gen 5, you know this this nut right here is about impossible to get to with a 10 millimeter. And trying to fit a 12 millimeter in there is going to be a real challenge. So we'll see how that goes. Also on the stock head, it has the recessed exhaust port, so the gasket sets in it. On the aftermarket one, the Taida, it's flat, just like your exhaust. You'll have to use one of these kind of exhaust gaskets, or the one they give you in the kit. But I kind of like the ones with a little copper around it because they kind of squish into place. So one of those, and that might give you a bigger exhaust opening in the end. This is going to end up with a couple of millimeters bigger than this one because there's no gasket blocking it. So all you're really getting is 20 cc's more, probably a little less compression with that beveled out head. So it'll be interesting to see if it makes a difference. You may just be better off with the 150 with the cam and the carb. So I ended up not using these two spacers, well, the gasket for this spacer. It's beveled, I guess, for aerodynamic flow, but the rubber O-ring on the intake won't fit in there, so I had to mount it upside down. But ultimately, I decided not to use it because I got the carburetor to fit pretty good without it. It sits really low, but it all clears. So here's an issue I didn't expect on the exhaust pipe. It won't actually go up in there. It hits the engine. It hits the cylinder right here. I had to trim the gasket away like that just to get it to fit. Which looks like I just have to grind that little tip off the exhaust flange. I don't think the flange is hitting. I think the holes are too tight. You can see the shiny part where it was rubbing on the bolts. And that's where I'm going to grind it away to get it to fit. It slides up there pretty good. About this 12mm bolt, this is going to be, I don't know how I'm supposed to put this on. Now I have to cut away this shroud so I can get a wrench in there. Hopefully I won't lose too much cooling. I mean, there's other holes over here. So now I can get a wrench in there and get this tight. The next issue is, you can see there's a lot of gap between that nut and the flange. What it's doing is that flared out nut like that is, it's hitting the welding bead over here first. So those need to be replaced. Maybe not that side, but this side needs to be replaced with the regular nut, nylock nuts. And they will hold a lot better because exhaust bolts always come loose. Where there's a wheel, there's a way. Provided you have a shit ton of tools. Alright, let's see if it starts. Alright, took it around the block. Check for things falling off and oil leaks, stuff like that. But everything seemed good. Runs really nice. I'm going to call that trip around the block break-in. We're going to go send it. Alright, the bike felt a lot more powerful and faster, quicker. It didn't feel faster top end, it felt just quicker, more powerful, like it would do a wheelie. So my last run before the 20cc add-on, the 171 jug and head, was 66 miles an hour top, 0 to 30 in 2.7, and 1/8 mile in 11.4. So 2.7 and 11.4 is what I feel like I'm going to beat. And we just did that run. I got, it's like 68 miles an hour, so 2 miles an hour faster. 0 to 30 in 2.8. That's about the same, isn't it? And 1/8 mile in 11.2. So those are about the same. But it just felt stronger. So on paper, it got no quicker. Must be just a feel thing. And 2 miles an hour faster. Not a big diff. But I think I'm going to recommend the mod, mainly because of this. It seems to have enough grunt now that I'm turning almost 8,500 RPM. Before I was getting pretty weak around 8,000. It seems to have more power throughout the range, and I think it's got enough power now to run a taller gear in the rear end. So if I can now run this tall gear in the rear end, I'll pick up some miles an hour there. And that's what I'm going to do next.